Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Was the Hollow God, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto walked through the hallway leading to the meeting room, where his blood clone and Taiyo are waiting for him. Just 5 minutes ago, Naruto has finished his talk with the Great Red, and after he was able to convince the true dragon that all he wants is to return the Uzumaki clan to the greatness, the dragon god told him about what's inside of the secret chamber. It's unnecessary to say that Naruto couldn't believe that Kuin and Mila Uzumaki, who, by the way, turned out to be his grandparents, were not only able to come up with something like that chamber but to actually pull it off as well. They truly were brilliant when it comes to Fuinjutsu. Anyway, after the Great Red revealed about the room, and the Kuin and Mila never actually left any way to enter into it, the Great Dragon left back to his homeland, while Naruto stayed behind to think about how he should proceed with his plans and how to enter into that room. Yes, he could just leave it as it is, and wait for another 20 years for the seals inside of the chamber to be released, but he doesn't feel like he can wait that long to be able to access to what's inside, and he doubts that even his infinite patience will stop him from blowing up the walls so he can enter into the room. As he was walking, Naruto was so into thinking that he never noticed a person walk from just around the corner, and the two bumped into each other. Naruto was quite a bit bigger than the other person, so once they bumped into each other, the girl with orange hair fell backwards, with Naruto falling right on top of her. Naruto laid on top of the girl, with their lips less than an inch from each other, and with both looking at each other's eyes. They stayed like that for about 10 seconds, before the girl finally realized the position she was in, and with whom, which made her blush madly. Seeing this, and since he recognized the girl, Naruto smiled, though he didn't even move an inch. Well, if it isn't Sasum, Naruto said with a big smile on his face. You sure have grown a lot since the last time I saw you. Filled out quite nicely as well. I'm so tempted to kiss you right here and now. Naruto's words were doing wonders to Sasum's heart, stomach and lower regions, as she felt throbbing and fluttering. What do you say, Sasum my dear? Should I give you a kiss? Now normally, Naruto isn't interested in any sort of relationship, nor Shay for that matter, but for some reason, he just couldn't help himself with Sasum and had to play with her for a little. Sasum wanted to say something, she really did, but words just didn't seem to want to leave her lips, her beautifully full lips, which are just calling to be bruised from kissing. Sasum wanted to say yes, she wanted to yell, yes, kiss me, but the words just didn't come out. While she was trying to let out her desires, Naruto moved his lips over her lips, her cheek and even her ears, but didn't actually kiss her. Finally, Naruto blew a small breath into Sasum's left ear, making her shiver in delight, and causing her poo to leak, before he suddenly stood up from her, leaving her to lie on the floor with wide eyes and with dumped panties. Maybe next time, Naruto suddenly said, as he extended his right arm, and offering it to her to help her stand up. Sasum extended her own arm, shakily, and grabbed Naruto's, before she lifted herself off the floor, and back on her shaky legs. Naruto looked at Sasum and couldn't help but form a small smirk on his face. He wasn't joking earlier when he said that she has grown quite a lot, and has become very beautiful, not that she wasn't beautiful before, but the last time he saw her, she was just a 13-year-old girl, and now she is a very beautiful 16-year-old teenager. I won't describe her. Look at the picture, Sasum the Last, by Nikki93, on DeviantArt. Lord Alessandro, Sasum said. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking where I was going. Naruto rose his eyebrows at her calling him Lord, and was about to ask her about that, when he suddenly recalled a memory from his blood clone, where he actually liked being called Lord, and it stuck like that. That guy, Naruto thought in his head. He seems more like Cielaporo than he is me. You don't have to call me Lord, Naruto said to Sasum, who looked at him in confusion. My blood clone might have liked that, but I don't care about that stuff. Just call me Alessandro, and I'll be okay with that. Sasum blushed at Naruto allowing her to call him by his name, not knowing that Alessandro is not his name. She eventually nodded, and Naruto smiled at her. Now tell me, why were you in the office? Naruto asked. Oh, I just went there to inform Lord Stark about something my division just discovered. Sasam said. Naruto frowned, and searched his memories to see what division Sasam was talking about. It didn't take him long to find the memory where his blood clone created a division whose only job is to spy on other N and inform him of what's going on in those countries. He will admit to himself that the blood clone came up with a good idea, and was about to say that he will congratulate him for that, but then he remembered that the idiot almost made people call him Lord Stark. Ridiculous, Naruto thought. I see, he said. Well then, I guess I'll just ask him and Tayuya about it, while you can return to your job. Sasam nodded, and turned to leave, but she heard Naruto say. Good job, Sasam. Keep it up, and I might have something for you if you keep proving yourself. The grin on Naruto's face was all that Sasam needed to see to realize what Naruto was talking about, and her face burned at the images. She ran out of the hallway as fast as her legs could carry her, which was quite fast, Naruto noticed, while wearing a big smirk on his face. It's so good to be able to do that to beautiful women and girls, he said to himself. I'm so glad to be me. He then continued on the way to the office, while thinking that just like his blood clone, he might have a very high opinion of himself. Naruto entered into the office just 10 seconds later, without even bothering to knock, since, well, it was basically his office, and he knew that his blood clone and Tayuya were waiting for him. What the hell was that roar earlier? Tayuya shouted as soon as she saw him pass through the door. Naruto went and sat on the sofa which was on one side of the room, and looked at his blood clone and Tayuya, who was seating behind the desk, blood clone, and in front of the desk, Tayuya. That was the boss summon of the Dragon Clan. Naruto said, getting wide-eyed look from Tayuya, while the blood clone only rose his eyebrows. Whatever that thing is, the blood clone spoke. It's almost as powerful as we are. Naruto nodded at his blood clone's words. Yeah, he said. I'd say that at his full power, the Great Red is at about 80% of my full power, which is a lot of power. I honestly didn't think that there would be anyone in this world with that much power. The blood clone nodded, while Tayuya stared at the two with an empty look on her face. She didn't know the full extent of Naruto's power, so she didn't know how powerful he is and how powerful the Dragon God is. I was able to find out what's inside of that chamber down in the vault, Naruto said, drawing the attention of his blood clone and Tayuya. So the dragons did know. The blood clone stated. Naruto nodded. Several higher level did, he said. It took me a while to convince him to tell me, as they have all made a promise to Kun and Mila Uzumaki, that they will never reveal to anyone about that chamber and its contents. Who are they? Tayuya asked, referring to Kun and Mila. They are my grandparents, Naruto said, much to Tayuya's shock. Even the blood clone was surprised. They are also the ones who made all those seals down there, and who sealed the chamber so that no one will ever be able to enter. The truth is, short of me breaking that wall, there is no other way to enter inside, and there won't be for another 20 years. Why 20 years? Blood clone asked. When they made the chamber and the seal guarding it, they drew the seals on the inside of the chamber, which means that it can only be accessed from the inside, Naruto explained. They also made it, so that the seal will last for exactly 50 years since the day it was activated. Once the 50 years are over, the seal will be released and the contents of the vault will be released. And since it has been 30 years since the war and since the seal was activated, that leaves 20 more years, until the seal is released. I see, the blood clone said, while Tayuya asked. But what was so important that it would need that much protection? And why did they set the seal to be released in exactly 50 years? I mean, why not 40, or 60? Why exactly 50 years? Naruto shook his head. The number of years itself isn't that important, he said. Kun and Mila thought that if what's inside of the vault was released too soon after the war, it would be no good. But, they thought that 50 years from then, almost no one will remember the Uzumaki clan, and so once the contents are released, they will be safe. Tayuya and the blood clone looked at Naruto with confusion on their face, and with slightly narrowed eyes. You're making it sound that there are living people inside of that chamber. Tayuya said and started to chuckle slightly at that thought. That would be ridiculous, right? She chuckled for about 10 seconds, until she noticed that Naruto wasn't laughing nor denying her words. The blood clone just looked at Naruto with interest on his face, while Naruto himself had serious look on his own face. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Tayuya shouted. You hit the nail right in the head. Naruto said. But how is that possible? Tayuya stuttered. Naruto sighed. Kuin and Mila saved as many children as they could from all the clans that lived in the land of whirlpools and not just Uzumaki, and then led them down into the chamber, where Kuin had all of them sealed inside of the crystals created by his crystal release bloodline. The crystals were then covered in seals, which makes everyone inside of the crystals, basically in a stasis, Naruto explained to the wide-eyed Tayuya and slightly shocked blood clone. After all of those kids were sealed, Kuin sealed Mila as well, as he thought that all those kids will need someone to take care of them once the seal is released after 50 years' time. Kuin then informed the dragons about what was done, and went back to war, as at the time, he was the third Azuki. Tayuya went silent after Naruto's explanation, and was thinking about everything she has just learned. The blood clone on the other hand, had another question. How did the Uzumaki clan lose when they had a contract with dragons, he asked. With that much firepower, there is no way they would have been almost exterminated. What was known about the war, is that, stone, mist and cloud, allied, in order to take out the Uzumaki clan, right? Naruto said, and the blood clone and Tayuya nodded. What is not known is that Leaf betrayed the Uzumaki clan. They have basically told the other three nations on how and where to attack, and were also responsible for taking out some defenses from the inside. Under the pretense of the joint training program between the two villages, there was some Leaf shinobi in the whirlpool, which used that time to make a barrier around the entire island. That barrier, once activated, would prevent anyone from summoning anything except the lowest level summons. Once the war started, the barrier was raised by the Leaf shinobi, who then fled, and left the whirlpool to fall. The barrier stopped both sides from summoning anything, but that was not a problem with the attacking forces, as they knew from the start that they won't be able to rely on any summoning animals, but it was a big problem for the Uzumaki, as they were faced against the overwhelming forces, and weren't able to summon anything above few months old summons, which would be useless in battle. Once he sealed the children and his wife in the chamber, Kuin summoned the biggest and the oldest dragon the barrier allowed, and explained to it what happened and what he left in the chamber, along with the fact that their summoning contract will stay in the vault for the next 50 years, until the stasis seal is released and Mila and the children are free again. I see, the blood clone said after Naruto finished with the explanations. But why did Leaf betray Whirlpool like that? Tayuya shouted. Naruto already told her once that the Leaf betrayed the Whirlpool, so she knew that, but Naruto didn't know all the details up until now, so neither did she. They were allies. So why sell them out? Naruto looked at Tayuya and saw rage in her eyes. He couldn't really blame her, nor could he tell her to calm down, as he himself, who is much better at keeping his emotions in check, is boiling with anger and wishes to go to Konoha and burn it to the ground. Fortunately, he was able to control his emotions very well, and decided to wait for a little while longer. The time will come for Konoha to fall, and when that happens, he will be the happiest being in the world. That is unknown, Naruto said. Kuin didn't know why Leaf would sell him out, especially since he sent his daughter there, few weeks before the downfall of Whirlpool. He thought that the relationship between the villages is strong, and that no side would betray the alliance which went back for decades. He was wrong, and he paid that price with his life, and the lives of many of the residents of the land of whirlpools. Do you have any suggestion as to why they did it? Tayuya asked. It could be many reasons, Naruto said. The land of whirlpools was very strong. The Uzumaki clan was the strongest clan in the N at that point, and there was nothing Uzumaki couldn't do with the Fuinjutsu, as we have already learned. There was also the fact that only Uzumaki can hold Kyuubi inside them, which might have made Leaf desire to control the number of Uzumaki in the world. With my mother there, they had a new Jinchuriki, and then one day, my mother would have a child, which would be able to hold Kyuubi. They knew that not all of the Uzumaki would die, and knew that there will be a number of the all over the N after that war, so if it was necessary, they could always find one or two and bring them to the village, to become new Jinchuriki, or to pair with my mother's descendants, once the Uzumaki blood becomes too diluted in them. So, as I said, there are many reasons for the betrayal, and I can keep coming with them for a while. A full minute of silence later. What now? The blood clone asked. What do you plan to do? Naruto sighed. We are going to focus on the construction of the country, for now, he said, getting raised eyebrows from the blood clone and Tayuya. The construction of the country, finding new people to come here to live, and finally, takeover of the N. Those are the priorities, probably in that order as well. As for Mila and the children, well, they are safe down there, so we can leave them for now. Are you going to wait for that seal to vanish in 20 years, or are you going to find another way into the chamber to release them earlier? Tayuya asked. Actually, Naruto smirked. I already have a way to enter in there. This surprised the other two, as this was news to them. How? Blood Clone asked, and the answer he got made him go wide-eyed. What's that? Tayuya said after she heard the word Naruto said. It's a special power one of my soul pieces had while he was an Espada, Naruto said. With that power, I can take down that wall and not damage anything inside. I could have done that on that first wall on the stairs, but I completely forgot about it. Yeah, the Blood Clone nodded his head. I didn't remember about that power either, and it's one of the major powers we have. We could have got to the vault 2 years ago if we just remembered about that power. Oh well, Naruto shrugged. At least we learned Fuinjutsu, so we can't say it was a waste of time. The Blood Clone agreed. Okay, Tayuya said, wanting to ask more about the power Naruto mentioned, but decided to do that another time. If you can do it, then why not do it now, and release them all? I could do that, Naruto said. But, I think it would be better to release them from the stasis, after we build the country and finish everything else. If we release them now, they might be in danger down the road, and the country simply doesn't have enough houses built to accommodate them all. On top of that, there is no academy nor a school of any kind for all those kids to attend. The Great Red didn't know how many children there are down there, only that there is a lot of them, so as I said, it's better to prepare everything, and once everything is finished, I can release them. It shouldn't take longer than another year or two, right? The Blood Clone and Tayuya thought about it for a minute and nodded. Yeah, Tayuya said. I think that a year or two should be enough to finish everything, especially now that we have access to the vault, and we are constantly getting money from those gold mines you acquired. I agree, the Blood Clone said. And if you create few more Blood Clones and send them to conquer, then it will be finished even faster. Naruto shook his head. I doubt I'll be making any more Blood Clones, he said. I think that the ones who are already created are enough, and they can do the conquering with no problem. Grimmjow and Noitora are already at it in the Eastern N, while Tyr has taken over the Land of Sea, and I plan for her to take over all the islands and lands in the South N, along with the Land of Water. She will be in charge of those nations after as their daimyo. What about the others? Tayuya asked. Well, once all of the eastern lands are taken over, I plan to leave Grimmjow to take care of them, as it seems that Shion has taken quite a liking at him, and the two of them would be perfect to lead Eastern N, Naruto said. Tyr is to the south. I'll let Noitora lead the Northern N, which will be the lands of lightning, snow, and maybe few others. That leaves Stark and Ulquiorra. I'll probably leave them to watch over the lands of earth and wind, along with all the smaller countries in the Western N. You, Naruto looked at the Blood Clone in front of himself, will be taking care of the land of fire and the countries around it, while I will stay here, as the land of whirlpools will be where the capital of the empire will be. Tayuya nodded, as Naruto's plan seems reasonable. Now, tell me why was Sasam here, Naruto asked. She mentioned some report. Did something happened? Actually, the Blood Clone started. Gaara was attacked by the Akatsuki and kidnapped. I see, Naruto said, and lowered his gaze downward, thinking about what to do. What do you plan to do? Tayuya asked. I don't know, Naruto said. Gaara became a good friend, and was on my side after the execution. He even broke the alliance with the Leaf because of what they did to me, and because of that, I feel like I own him. Then again, if he dies, then I won't have a single problem taking over the Land of Wind and the Sand Village, as he and his siblings are the only thing which would make me rethink about taking over that country. If you tell him your plan, do you think he would be against it? Tayuya asked. Most likely, Naruto said. Gaara has decided to guard his village and its people after his defeat by my hands, 3 years ago. He changed, and now he cares about those in the village. Even though he knew the old me, I'm completely different than I was, and because of that I have a feeling that he would rather go to war with me, than to hand over his country and village to the hands of someone he doesn't know and doesn't trust. Well, you can just leave that country alone, Tayuya suggested. If Gaara is as good as you say he is, he will take care of his people and stop them from going to war. Yes, Naruto agreed, but Gaara is a human, so he won't live forever. A day will come when he will have to retire, and who knows what his successors might try to pull. Well, you have to choose in the end, Tayuya said. Either you save him and potentially go to war against him later, or you let him die, and simply take over the Land of Wind in a few months. Naruto went into deep thought, and stayed there for about 10 minutes, while Tayuya and the blood clone were waiting to hear what he will decide to do. Eventually, Naruto opened his eyes, and looked at the two. Call Sako, Fu and Juvia, Naruto said. I want them to come with me, as we are going to save Gaara. Okay, Tayuya said, but before she did that, she asked. Why those three, though? You can do it by yourself. Fighting against Akatsuki will be a nice training for the three of them, Naruto said. I'm far above everyone in this world, and as such, I have no desire to battle. I'll just let those three handle it, while I'll just sit back and enjoy the show. Naruto smirked as he said that, making Tayuya groan, before she left the room to go and find the three girls Naruto mentioned. Hokage Tower, Konoha. Back in the Konoha, Team 7 has been called back to the Hokage Tower not even a day after they returned from their failed mission to capture Mario. All 4 members are now standing in front of Danzo, while the village elders are seating on the sofa, listening in. Lord Hokage, Kakashi addressed to Danzo. Why are we here again so soon after our last mission? I thought you said that we are free for a few days. I plan to let you stew in for a little while after your failed mission, Danzo said, making Kakashi and Sakura sweat, while Sasuke scowled at being reminded of that. Sai was, well, he is Sai, so he just smiled creepily. But something has come up, and since you are the strongest team we have next to Team 9, Sasuke scoffed at this, thus, getting a warning look from Danzo. A few seconds later, Danzo continued. And since they are occupied with another mission, I have decided to send the 3 of you. Okay, Kakashi said. What is the mission? Our spies in the Sand Village have just informed us that Kazekage has been taken by Akatsuki, Danzo said, getting narrowed eyes from everyone except Sakura, who gasped. I'm sending you 4 to save Gaara and bring him here. This surprised the members of Team 7. May I ask, why? Kakashi asked. Why what? Danzo asked back. Why save him? Kakashi asked. And why bring him here of all places? It's simple, Danzo said. I want him saved and brought here because I don't want the Akatsuki getting their hands on Ichibi, and also because once we have the Kazekage in our hands, we can force San to do as we want him to, if they want their leader back safe and sound. Danzo smirked as he said this. The smirk was matched by the elders. Members of Team 7 didn't show any expressions on their faces. Okay, we can do that, Kakashi said. But tell us, has the spy given any information about the identity of the Akatsuki and maybe where they are going? Not knowing where they are going, makes it impossible to find them unless we were to first go to the sand and then track the Akatsuki from there. Danzo shook his head. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about either the members of the Akatsuki who attacked, nor we know where they went after they took the Kazekage, Danzo said, and noticed the members of Team 7 frown. Well, Sai didn't frown, but the other 3 did. Which means that you will have to go to the Sand Village, and then say how you were sent to help, not only because you don't want the Akatsuki to get their hands on one of the Biju, but also because you are hoping that this will improve the relations between the 2 villages. That would be a lie, of course, but they wouldn't know that, and will most likely accept our offer of help if for nothing else, than to get their Kazekage back. Once you find the trail and later Gaara, you can save him and then bring him here. If there are sand ninja with you at that time, dispose of them, and only return with the Kazekage. Is that understood? Danzo asked after he briefed them on the mission. Yes sir, all of them said. Good, Danzo said with a small smirk. Now go, and don't waste time, as we don't know how far those 2 Akatsuki have gotten to, nor we know how long it will take them to extract the Biju from the Kazekage. The Team Kakashi members nodded, and they left the office, leaving behind Danzo and the 2 elders. Will they succeed in the mission? Koharu asked. They better if they know what's good for them, Danzo growled. They failed one S-rank mission which was of big importance to the village. If they fail another, it won't end well for any of them. Well, we can't exactly punish the Uchiha too much, Homura said. He is a loose cannon, and as such, wouldn't think twice to make a run to Orochimaru, just like he did 3 years ago. We have to keep him appeased in order for him to stay in the village. Koharu nodded. Homura is right, she said. The brat only cares about power and his revenge against Itachi. He doesn't give a damn about this village nor anyone in it, but will stay here as long as he gets what he wants. I know that, Danzo said. Sasuke has his purpose, though. Once that purpose expires, he will be dealt with. Of course, not before we make sure we have his seed to impregnate few women of our choosing, which will give birth to the new Uchiha children, as it would be unwise to run out of the Sharinganai. Homura and Koharu nodded at that. They just hope that they don't end up waiting too much in disposing of Sasuke, and he ends up running away before they eviscerate him. XXX. Daimyo Palace, Land of Springs. The daimyo of the Land of Springs has just received report from the Sand Village about Gaara's kidnapping, and since they are allies and friends, she decided to answer the call and send help. Because of that, there is a single person standing in front of the throne and facing Kyuki. The person is a beautiful girl looking to be in her late teens, with her black hair rolled up and tied at the left side of the back of her head, with some of it falling at the right side of her face. She has blue eyes and seemingly childlike body, though that can't be seen to the full extent because of the red and purple kimono tied with a yellow obi she is wearing. She has 3 hairpins with red flowers attached to her hair. Thanks for showing up so quickly, Seraphile, Kyuki addressed to the young girl, whose name is revealed to be Seraphile. It's my pleasure, Princess, Seraphile said. What can I do for you? She asked. My friend and ally, Gaara, the Kazekage of the Sand Village, has been kidnapped by the Akatsuki, Kyuki said with a frown on her face, though there was a visible signs of concern in her eyes. Seraphile narrowed her eyes in anger, not just because Gaara was kidnapped, but also because his kidnapping is making her Kyuki sad. Yes, her Kyuki, as Seraphile and Kyuki are not an employer and employee. They are much closer than that, not that anyone knows about that of course. As such, Seraphile cares a great deal about Kyuki and will do anything for her, including eviscerating those who hurt her in any way. What do you want me to do? Seraphile's voice was anything but cheerful at that moment. I want you to go to Suna and help them in retrieving Gaara, Kyuki said. Do whatever is necessary in bringing him back, safe and sound. It will be my pleasure, Seraphile said. I'm assuming I'm to take one of the flying ships. Kyuki nodded. Naturally, she said. It would take you far too long to get to Suna any other way, regardless of how fast you are to move. With the flying ship, you will be there by tonight. Understood, Seraphile said. Should I bring someone else with me? If you want, Kyuki said. Though I doubt you will need any help. If there is someone close here who can come with you, then bring them, just hurry up, so you won't end up being late. Seraphile nodded, and then left the room, after she promised she won't fail her. XXX. 2 members of the Akatsuki who kidnapped Gaara, arrived in their hideout in the Land of Rivers, and have met with the leader of the organization, though he was not really there. Only his hologram was. You are late, said the leader with his strange ripple-patterned eyes narrowed at the 2 Akatsuki members. Yes, well, the Jinchuriki was not exactly easy to capture, said the guy with long blonde hair. His name is Deidara and he is an S-rank missing nin from a Wagakur. Especially because we were in the middle of a fucking desert, and he is a sand user. You were just too slow, said the gruff voice of Deidara's partner. His name is Sasori of the Red Sand and he is a missing nin from the Sunagakur. I would have done the job much faster and we wouldn't have to make the other wait. I hate making other wait, Deidara. Don't give me that shit, Deidara said to his partner, after which, they started to argue. They were interrupted by the leader. Enough with you bickering, the leader said, before he performed some hand seals and summoned a giant statue with many closed eyes and shackles on its arms. Once the statue was summoned, the holograms of the other members of the Akatsuki showed up as well, and each took a position on the fingers of the statue. Sasori and Deidara also took their positions on the fingers, and with the 2 of them, there were 9 people, standing on 9 fingers, with one remaining finger being free. Let's start the sealing of the Ichibi. It will take 3 days and nights to do it, so stay aware of your physical selves. The leader said. Zetsu, have your physical body stand guard outside. Understood. I know, replied the voice of the strange creature resembling a man coming out from the flytrap. Only 3 days and nights, said another voice. This once belonging to Kisame Hoshigaki, the missing nin from the Kirigakur. Isn't it possible it will take more than that, now that Orochimaru is no longer with us? All the more reason to start this at once. The leader said, and the others agreed with this, before they all performed the same hand seal using the same hand which carries a strange rings. Once they performed the hand seals, the fingers of the statue glowed with the kanji words appearing on each of them. A light appeared in the mouth of the statue, before the leader called the sealing jutsu. Sealing jutsu, 9 phantom dragons. The light extended out of the mouth and formed into 9 bluish dragons, which went toward Gaara and engulfed him in bluish-white light before Gaara was raised from the cave floor. Soon, a reddish mist started to come out from Gaara's mouth, nose and eyes, indicating that the sealing of the Ichibi has started. XXX. 2 of the sand shinobi were standing guard in front of the village entrance, watching carefully for the signs of anyone coming to their village for any reason. They have been informed that they are to expect the arrival of someone from the land of springs, but they also knew that if their enemies were to find out that they are currently a Kazekage short, they might get attacked. Which means that there will be no laid-back attitude, which is normal for the gate guards of every hidden village. When do you think the help will arrive from the land of springs? One of the gate guards asked the other. I don't know, replied the second guard. I am worried though. I mean, they're a small country and don't have a hidden village. Who could they possibly send that will be able to fight against someone who defeated Lord Kazekage? I'm sure they will send someone strong, the first guard said. They are a wealthy country, and even though they have no hidden village, I'm sure they have someone strong who protects the country and trains others. I guess you could be right, the second guard said, and then looked into the distance trying to see if there might be someone coming. He was quite surprised when he saw a sand cloud rising behind what looks like 4 figures running toward the village. The 2 guards looked at each other, before they stood on guard and prepared for battle, just in case. A minute later, they saw who the 4 figures are, and even though they didn't recognize them by the names, the hitai each of them was wearing were very distinguishable. Hold it right there, yelled one of the guards as soon as the 4-leaf ninja was close enough. The members of Team 7 stood in front of the 2 guards, before Kakashi said. We come here in peace. We just want to talk to your leaders about helping with the search for your Kazekage. Leaf and Sand are no longer allies, shouted one of the guards, though inwardly he was sweating as he doesn't know how the Leaf Ninja found out that the Kazekage is gone. This made him think that if the Leaf knows, then the other villagers know as well. Which means that there is no reason for you to be here. Please, Kakashi said, trying to calm down the 2 gate guards of Suna, as he didn't want to start any battle. At least not right now. We just want to help. We might not be allies anymore, but Akatsuki is a common enemy and we don't want them to get their hands on the Ichibi. The 2 gate guards looked at each other, thinking about what to do. Their thoughts were interrupted when Temari came from behind them and said. What's going on here? She asked while glaring at the Leaf Ninja. She, just like Gaara and Kankuro, hate everyone in Leaf because of what they've done to Naruto. Yes, it's true that she didn't know Naruto that well, and she found the kid a little bit annoying and loudmouth, but he was also a good guy and has helped her brother stop with his homicidal tendencies, and made him into a better man. As such, she felt Chio to Naruto. She was very sad when she heard about his death, before the sadness turned into hate toward the Leaf Village and everything related to them. Why are you Leaf Ninja here? Kakashi sighed, and again explained how the 6th Hokage sent him to assist in saving Gaara as they don't want the Akatsuki to get their hands on the Biju, and because they are hoping to improve the relations between their 2 villages. I seriously doubt that the relations between our villages will improve any time soon, no matter what you do, Temari sneered at the Leaf Ninja. But if you are willing to assist in taking down Akatsuki, then come after me. We don't have time to waste. Kakashi nodded, and then he and his team followed after Temari and went toward the hospital in the Sand Village. XXX. Why are we in the hospital? Sakura asked. Kankuro is here, Temari said. What happened to him? Kakashi asked with a raised eyebrows, and immediately started to think of how to use this situation for the benefits of the Leaf Village. After Gaara was taken, Kankuro went after him and the enemy, Temari sighed. He was poisoned by one of them, and we haven't been able to find a way to deal with the poison. Can I take a look at him? Sakura asked, drawing the looks of everyone on her. Temari frowned for a moment before she asked. What can you do, when our resident poison mistress couldn't find an antidote? I trained under Shizune-sensei, Sakura said. She was Lady Tsunde's apprentice for years, so I learned a lot from her. I can't promise to be able to help Kankuro until I take a look at him, but you won't lose anything if I try. Temari looked at Sakura for a few moments, before she cast a small look at the other members of Team 7. She saw that Sakura seems to genuinely want to help, which surprised her, but the faces of Kakashi, Sasuke and the third guy, who Temari didn't know, showed that they were not pleased with Sakura's offer. They hid it well though, and it made Temari wonder, what the Leaf Ninja actually want. Temari said nothing though, as they came in front of the room where Kankuro is currently lying surrounded by medics and two other, old-looking man and woman. The moment the four lead ninja passed the entrance, and the people in the room turned around to look who it was, the old woman cast one look at Kakashi and immediately yelled and jumped at him. "You!" she yelled while all but flying at the stunned Kakashi. Sasuke reacted quickly and jumped to intercept the old woman, stopping her punch, and the trying to hit her, but she caught his fist with her own hand. A moment later, they disentangled and jumped backwards. "What do you think you are doing, attacking an elite leaf ninja like that, you old bag of bones?" Sasuke yelled. "White Fang of the Leaf. I'll kill you for what you've done to my son," the old lady said, not even paying attention at Sasuke, which caused him to sneer at her. Seeing that this can turn really bad really soon, Kakashi decided to say something before they are all kicked out of the Sand Village, which would mean that they would have failed their second S-rank mission in just few days. If that happens, they might as well become missing ninjas since they would have higher chances of survival instead of going back to the Leaf, where Danzo will most likely execute them all. Well, maybe he would leave Sasuke alive since he is an Uchiha, though Kakashi wasn't sure. No, wait, Kakashi said, trying to calm down the old bag before she started a war. "I'm not." Unfortunately, she didn't listen and was about to attack again, when. "Take a closer look at that man, sis." The man as old as the lady, stopped in front of her and stopped her. The woman looked from her brother back at Kakashi, who was waving his hands with an eye smile on his face. "It's true that there is a resemblance," the old man spoke again. "But this man is not the White Fang of the Leaf." The woman still looked at Kakashi, trying to determine if her brother was telling the truth. "Besides," he spoke again. "If you might recall, the White Fang of the Leaf died long time ago. Remember how you wept in frustration once you heard, because it meant you will never have your vengeance. By then, the old woman was leaking sweat drops down her face. Isn't that right, sis?" the man asked in the end. The old woman looked at Kakashi one more time, before she apologized and started laughing like a maniac, while everyone in the room looked at her in wonder and shock. They were interrupted by Kankuro's yelling, as he was rolling over the bed, while gripping his throat as if he was feeling a pain from it. From there on, Sakura proceeded to find what's wrong with Kankuro, what kind of poison was used on him, and then she used her medical jutsu to extract as much poison as she could from his body, before, with the help of the Sand Village medics, she prepared the antidote for the traces of the poison still left in Kankuro's body. While she was curing Kankuro, Kakashi, Sasuke and Sai were seating in front of the room, and waiting. The old woman, whose name is Chio, and her brother, Ebizo, was seating with them. "Hey Kakashi," Sasuke called to his sensei, who was in the middle of reading one of the Ika books. Kakashi grunted at Sasuke, indicating he heard him, but didn't bother to look at him. Normally, Sasuke would consider this to be disrespect toward him, but he knew Kakashi, and knew he will never get better answer than that. "Who is that, White Fang, the old bag was talking about?" Chio was almost insulted by this, but then she remembered that the brat is an Uchiha, and she knew that that clan has no respect for anyone and anything. Kakashi sighed, closed his book and then looked toward the ceiling. "How to put this," he said. "Well, in a word. He was my father." Chio stammered when she heard this, as she was surprised. Her brother was equally as surprised, while Sasuke rose his eyebrows. Sai didn't show any reaction to this, meaning that he probably either knew, or he simply didn't care about the information. "Was he strong?" Sasuke asked, wanting to know how powerful and how famous his sensei's father was. "Yes," Kakashi said. "He was about as powerful as Lord Jiraiya, who is the most powerful among the three Sanin." "Really?" Sasuke questioned Kakashi, both on the fact that Kakashi's father was that strong, and the fact that Jiraiya, as ridiculous as he looks and acts, is actually stronger than Orochimaru and Tsunade. "Yes," Kakashi confirmed. "Why aren't you that strong?" Sasuke asked, as he knew that Kakashi was not as strong as any of the Sanin, and if his father was on that level, that means he is weaker than him as well. Kakashi looked at Sasuke for a few moments, before he said. "I don't know," Kakashi said. "Maybe I lost my drive to improve after I left the ANBU, or maybe it's something else, but I never reached that level." Of course, I'm still not too old, and I can improve. Well, you better improve then, Kakashi said. If you have talent and the chance to grow stronger, you shouldn't waste it. You never know when you might need that additional power. Kakashi thought about Sasuke's words for a while, before he returned to read his book. He will have to put some more thought in Sasuke's words later. I've extracted most of the poison from his body, so that should put him out of any immediate danger, Sakura said, much to the joy of the Sand Ninja and medics. Kakashi, Sasuke and Sai entered back into the room and listened to Sakura. Though, there are most likely traces of the poison left in his body, so I will need to put up an antidote. I will need a list of the medicinal herbs you have in the village, and then I will need, from there, Sakura started to all but give orders, while the sand medics ran around the place following the orders. You remind me a lot of that old slug queen, Suna, Chio suddenly said as she approached Sakura. Isn't it a bit strange that you are here right at this moment? Sakura smiled. Well, I was trained by Lady Suna's apprentice, Lady Shizune, so I know a lot about medicine and healing. As for me being here, well, I guess that was a coincidence. We didn't know that there was anyone else in danger outside of the Kazekage. And why are all of you here? Chio asked again. Leaf and Sand haven't been in alliance for the last 3 years, which means that there is no reason for you to want to help in saving the Kazekage. That might be the truth, Sakura said. But as Kakashi-sensei said, Akatsuki is a common enemy, and even if us helping you doesn't improve the relations between the villages, we will still be satisfied if we take out some members of the Akatsuki before they extract the Ichibi from Gaara. Is that right? Chio questioned while looking at Sakura and then her sensei and teammates. She didn't like any of the guys in the team from the moment she laid her eyes on them, and she didn't know why, but with Sakura, she felt that she was a nice girl, and that she wants to help, though she still feels that there is something wrong with the girl, she just can't figure out what it is. Well then, you should know that we have already sent a request for help to the land of Spring Daimyo, Temari butted in and said. Members of Team 7 all looked at her in shock, and Sasuke sneered. What can they do? Sasuke asked, sneered. They are just a small country with no ninja. What can they do that we can't? Calm down, Sasuke, Kakashi said to his student, trying to calm him down so he won't do or say something stupid. He then looked at Temari. Was that really needed? You knew that Akatsuki is a threat to us as much as everyone else, so it stands to reason that you should have sent us a request for help, even if we are no longer allies. Temari scoffed. You got rid of your Jinchuriki for doing his job, she sneered at them with hate in her eyes. As such, you no longer have a Jinchuriki, which means that Akatsuki has no reason to target you. Unless, of course, they decided to go after you on principle, as you have effectively killed your Biju, which means that they can't get their hands on it until it resurfaces back, and that will take a while. Kakashi held his anger inside, as he was reminded of Naruto, which he doesn't like to be reminded of. Regardless if they come after us or not, their ultimate goal is unknown, Kakashi said. As such, they can't be allowed to get their hands on the Biju no matter what. No one said anything for full minute, before Kakashi spoke again. Now, let's not waste more time, he said. Can someone tell me, what have been the results of the search so far? The Sand Ninja looked at each other for a few moments, before they all looked at Temari, who sighed, but said nothing. Seeing that she won't speak, and has decided that someone else should do it, Baki spoke. Kankuro went after the Akatsuki by himself, and you see the results of that chase, Baki said. After that, we sent a tracking unit, but as of right now, we haven't heard from them. And then there is the fact that Captain Yura, one of our council advisors, has gone missing. We have no idea if he is even alive at this point. So basically, Kakashi spoke. You have completely lost track of the Akatsuki. He was annoyed by this, as it's making his job of finding the Akatsuki that much more difficult. On the other hand, the Suna shinobi seem to be incompetent, at the very least, which means that, even after what happened to Leaf and all the power they lost in the last 3 years, they still seem to be above Suna, who he knows has improved quite a bit in that same time, as they are now in the alliance with Wave and Spring. Lord Baki, one of the Suna medics called, drawing the attention of Baki as well as the Leaf Ninja. Kankuro has regained consciousness. They all approached closer to Kankuro's bed. Kankuro, Temari called while leaning over the bed. Temari, Kankuro talked slowly and with raspy voice. I'm sorry. I couldn't bring back Gaara. I couldn't do anything against that Akatsuki. It's okay, Kankuro, Temari said. We will find another way to save Gaara. I might be able to pick up the scent of those Akatsuki, as I'm known to have a pretty good nose for tracking, Kakashi spoke to Baki. But you will have to tell me where Kankuro's battle took place. What are you doing here? Kankuro asked as soon as he heard Kakashi's voice, and then saw him and two of his students through the bleary eyes. You are not welcome here. Calm down, Kankuro, Temari spoke. No one is happy that they are here, but they offered help in saving Gaara as the Akatsuki is their enemy as well. Besides, that girl, Sakura, is the one who saved you from the poison. You would have died without her help. It would have been better if I died, Kankuro growled, surprising everyone in the room. Who know what they'll ask of us now when the only reason I'm alive is because of one of their ninja. We will get to that later, once Gaara is back in the village, Temari said, though she cast a dirty look at the members of Team 7, minus Sakura, as she was not there. She went to work on the antidote with the other sand medics. Your sister is right, Kankuro, Kakashi spoke. Once we deal with the Akatsuki and Gaara is back, we will talk about everything necessary. We hope that helping you will lead to the rise in the relations between our villages, and the things go back to how they used to be 3 years ago. Kankuro glared at Kakashi for a full minute, before he sighed and looked away toward Baki. Where are my puppets? Kankuro asked. I'm assuming they were recovered along with me. A minute later, the remains of Kankuro's puppets were laid down right next to his bed in the hospital wing. When I got to them, Kankuro started. The one who fought Gaara carried him away, while the other stayed. That means that you can't track the one who took Gaara, but you can track the one who fought me. I made sure of that. Kankuro then revealed that in a hand of one of his puppets, there was a scrap of clothing, which Kankuro cut off before he passed out after his battle. Getting that scrap of clothing was the last thing I did, as I knew that without it, we wouldn't be able to track them down. Kakashi took the piece of clothing, and looked at it. You did a good job getting this, Kankuro, he said. You are right. Without this, it would be nearly impossible to find them unless there was some scent of them remaining at the scene of the battle. Kakashi then moved out of the hospital room, and into a hallway, before he performed a summoning jutsu. 8 dogs of various sizes and shapes and all wearing blue vests with blue Konoha Hitai 8, appeared from the puff of smoke. Kakashi, the smallest of the dogs, Pakken, spoke. What do you want? Many were surprised by the way the dog was addressing his summoner, but let it go as no important. Of course, Kakashi, and his students knew what the problem is. They knew that the dog's summonings were not happy with what happened with Naruto, and Kakashi was barely able to convince them to not remove him from the contract and stay his summoning partners. Kakashi sighed, before he showed the scrap of clothing to the ninja hounds. This belonged to a member of the Akatsuki, he said. I need you to track him down as soon as possible. The hounds gathered around Kakashi's hand and sniffed at the scrap of clothing for a few moments, before they all ran away. Before he left, Pakken said that they will return with the new when they got something. Once the hounds were gone, Temari looked at Kakashi and asked. Are they even going to bother and do as you asked them? Kakashi gave her a stink eye at the question, making Temari smirk. They didn't seem to be happy with you. I wonder why that is. Kakashi decided to stay quiet as he knew that if he lets his anger out, it will not end well for him and his team. Instead, he kept quiet, kept his anger in check, and even kept Sasuke's mouth from running, and saying something they will all regret. Instead, Kakashi looked as Chio and her brother approached Kankuro's bed and asked him. Kankuro, Chio spoke. I need to know. Is it true that the opponent you fought was Sasori? Kankuro looked away from Chio and frowned. Yes, Kankuro said. Sasori of the Red Sand. He introduced himself to me. Kakashi, Sasuke and Sai were listening carefully, and were wondering who Sasori was, as they didn't know about him. Kakashi spoke. Who is he? He asked. You seem to know something about the Akatsuki, so will you tell us? Chio looked at Kakashi for a few moments, before she sighed. XXX. Few hours later, right after Sakura has given Kankuro the antidote for the poison, and told him to rest until the numbness passes, a sand shinobi run into the room. Lady Temari, Lord Kankuro, Lord Baki, he called to the 3 highest-ranking ninja currently in the sand. They all looked at him, and waited for him to speak, instead of asking him what's up. The help from the Land of Springs has arrived, he said, making every sand shinobi in the room widen their eyes, while the Leaf Ninja, minus Sakura, narrowed theirs. Where are they? Temari asked. Before the ninja could tell her, a voice was heard from the entrance to the room. Here I am, Lady Temari. A female voice said, making everyone look toward it, only to see a very beautiful Seraphile, walking into the room along with another sand shinobi, who seems to have escorted her there. Everyone in the room looked at the woman, some in wonder, and some with lust in their eyes, mainly Sasuke. Kakashi though, he looked at the woman with terror in his eyes. Why you are, he couldn't even finish because of how shocked he is to see the woman. Kakashi's stuttering and terror visible in the eyes, draw the attention of everyone in the room. Seraphile looked at Kakashi, and recognized him immediately. She didn't say anything to him, though. Instead, she walked toward Temari and Kankuro, before she introduced herself. My name is Seraphile Leviathan. It's a pleasure to meet you all. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.